Holly's family continued to hold on to hope. They pleaded for her safe return, and the small town of Darden rallied behind them, offering resources, support, and comfort in the midst of an unimaginable tragedy. Yet, despite their best efforts, days turned into weeks, and Holly was still nowhere to be found. One key factor that kept the case in the public eye was the absence of any solid evidence that could explain Holly's disappearance. There were no indications that she had been abducted, no ransom demands, and no sign of violence at her home. This left law enforcement with few leads to pursue, and every theory seemed as likely as the next. The investigators were in the early stages of trying to piece together what happened to Holly, but every lead they followed was met with more uncertainty: the discovery of evidence. A break in the case. After weeks of searching, the case took a shocking turn in May 2011, when human remains were discovered in a wooded area not far from Holly's home. The discovery sparked an avalanche of questions. Was this Holly's body? If so, what had happened to her in the weeks since her disappearance? And if this wasn't Holly, whose remains were they? Authorities moved quickly to identify the remains, and after an agonizing wait, they confirmed that the body found in the woods belonged to Holly Bobo. It was a devastating blow to her family. The hope they had held onto so desperately began to crumble. The young woman who had disappeared without a trace had been taken from them in the most brutal way imaginable. As the investigation shifted to a homicide case, the clues that had been gathered started to take on new significance. New details began to emerge. Witnesses had reported seeing a suspicious vehicle near Holly's home around the time she was abducted, and there were reports that the man Holly had been seen with earlier was not a stranger after all, but someone with ties to the Bobo family's acquaintances. This only deepened the mystery. How could someone with known ties to the family be involved in Holly's disappearance? The suspects, Zachary Adams and Jason Autry's law enforcement continued to investigate. One name began to surface with disturbing frequency: Zachary Adams. He had been known to the authorities as someone with a criminal history, and it quickly became clear that his life would be closely scrutinized. Adams had a history of violence and was known to be involved in local criminal activities. His name had been linked to other suspects in the case, and investigators were starting to believe that he could be the key to understanding what had happened to Holly in 2014. After 3 long years of mounting suspicion and mounting evidence, Adams was arrested and charged with Holly Bobo's kidnapping and murder. Along with him, Jason Autry, another local man with a history of criminal involvement, was also arrested. Autry, at first, denied any involvement in Holly's death, but was later convinced to cooperate with the authorities. He became a key witness for the prosecution in exchange for a lighter sentence. Further complicating the case, Adams's arrest marked the beginning of a high-stakes legal battle that would stretch on for years, with both suspects denying the charges and pleading not guilty. The evidence against them